think if we did this episode like 6 months ago, everyone would be like, go f yourself, but ChatGPT changed the game, right?
Because it knows everything. It knows how much you slept. It knows how long since you last worked out. It knows what's on the plan.
Like air fryers can basically cook for you.
Like I can see the millisecond I start to speed up, it gets me.
And you just got these hologram personal trainers walking around and they're like, hey, cool, nice to meet you today. Like, how can I help you with anything? We're not that far from it.
No.
I mean, you got the goggles on, you know, you're pretty much there. So.
Oh, Ron?
Look at that timing. That was ridiculous. Don't worry, bro.
Welcome back.
All right, Project, welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about will AI-powered robots replace personal trainers and how it's going to impact the fitness industry. We're going to go over stuff like personalized workouts, virtual coaching, the wearable tech integration, robots themselves, stuff to do with safety, and then obviously, as PTs, our prediction as to what we think we will actually be really hard for them to take away from us in the fitness industry. Because that, you know, in the same ways that certain industries, you know, people lost their jobs, the guys that had to go around in the streets and light the candles before there were light bulbs, you know, they probably just ended up becoming light engineers or electricians or whatever in that industry. So there are always, you just need to pivot. You're not necessarily going to go away. So we're going to talk about what we'll pivot into.
But some things go away.
Definitely some things go away. Before we start this conversation, we want to talk about technology specifically and why it's a positive thing. I think this conversation we're talking about before we started this episode, it's very easy to go into defense mode and be like, no, fuck you. I don't want robots taking my job. Build the wall around Silicon Valley. Don't let the technology out. Let humans be humans. But I'm telling you, technology is almost always a positive thing. And I think it's very easy to fall into this, well, technology is going to be a bad thing for society. Technology is going to like ruin our jobs and ruin the quality of our life. And it's only a good thing. I want to give you 3 examples of how technology has helped the world make a better place. And I think it's important to understand the definition of technology, because this is one thing that I must have read somewhere in a book that really helped my understanding of technology. Because when we think about tech, what we think about is we think about mobile phones, we think about the internet, we think about electronics, but that is not what technology is. No, technology is not siloed just into electronic gadgets. The definition of technology is literally to make things more efficient. That is what technology is. So what we're actually doing is we're getting back more time, and time is the only commodity on earth that actually matters. And that's why you create technology. You create technology to gain back the most valuable commodity on earth, which is your time. That's why we create technology. So examples of how we've done this, right? First one is transport. How did humans used to transport themselves around? They used to walk. That's all we had. We had our own 2 legs. Then we tamed the horse. The horse was the first piece of technology that came into transportation for human beings. We then used an animal as a piece of technology to move us around the planet. Had a major impact on so many different things. Then what came after horses was, I guess you could say, the horse and cart, but then became diesel engines, cars, and then obviously we get moving into electric cars, automated vehicles. You could talk about planes, boats, all this sort of stuff, right? But that's the point. On land transportation, how technology evolved was from walking to electric automated cars is where we're at now. So that was a positive thing. You're buying back your time. You're buying back efficiency. If you takes, 4.5 hours to go see your grandma, now it only takes 20 minutes thanks to the car. Isn't that better? You can spend more time with your grandma. You've got the commodity back. It's amazing, right? That's a good thing. Second example is money. Money used to happen as barter, right? I've got 15 sheep. You've got 300 apples. Let's trade. Okay, I got to go pull 300 apples off the tree. Then we've got to count them all up. You got to round up your sheep. We've got to weigh the sheep. Then we've got to swap. Like, it takes time and effort, right? Just to exchange certain things. Then we're like, this is too slow. Let's move to precious metals. So we started exchanging precious metals, silver, gold, bronze, all that sort of stuff. Then we started making coins. Then coins turned into notes. And now we've just turned into digital currency. So literally, if I want something from you, all I have to do is tap my phone. Like we don't even need to touch. We don't need to exchange anything like that. The speed at which that has improved the exchange of money. And you think about it, there's like billions of transactions happening every single day. That's just going to make the world more efficient. You're just going to buy back time rather than spend ages trying to figure out what a coffee's worth and how I'm going to switch it with you. I can just tap and it's done. So that is another version of technology which has brought back our commodity, time. And then another one is just communication, right? We had letters. Well, first we just had spoken word. Then we had letters, telegrams. Then we had phones. Then we used text. Then mobile, and now mobile with internet, right? So you think about how much we've improved the way that we can communicate, how fast and how easy it is. Just saves so much time. Imagine like, yeah, I don't even know how. I guess we know in theory how it was done, but shit would have been slow back in the day with letters, right? Writing a letter when you're on the fucking Western Front, having the letter go back, waiting for the next letter to come. Now you can just text someone. Just reply back to their Insta story, and like they've got a message waiting for them. So all these are different examples of technology that have improved efficiency and brought back our commodity, our greatest commodity, which is our own time, right? Time that we can spend doing the things that we actually want to do, or things we want to do more of. Which is,
I even think about the gym, how much more accessible the gym has got through technology. Because before, equipment, like it basically would have been like calisthenics.
Yeah.
Like kind of unsurprising the gym wasn't very popular 80,
or
90 years
incidental
ago.
exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no one went to the gym, I guess, 100 years ago. Now, like the gym is pretty sick through technology, right? Like perfectly weighted barbells, decreases injury risk, allows you to do obviously
machines.
Yeah, lift heavy. You got all the cable machines. Now you're getting like I don't even know how that thing works. We have in our gym with the spin wheel. But like you don't even need weights anymore, right? There's like different ways of doing resistance training. So even just the gym has got sick already from technology.
Yeah, it's a good point. Absolutely. And especially in the areas of like sports performance and rehab and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Before I was like, how do I run faster? Just sprint harder.
Keep
down
running,
the track.
Forrest Gump style.
Yeah. Now it's like, all right, we're going to hook you up to these electrodes and we're going to put these bands on you and this like machine and it's anti-gravity. Anyway. So the reason I want to set it up that way is because I want you to think about the ways that technology and AI and robots are going to improve the fitness industry. Is going to be a good thing for you because what it's going to allow you to do is give you back time in areas that are inefficient so that you can spend them on areas that do matter, that only you can do uniquely as humans, or only we can do uniquely as human beings. So first thing that AI is going to help with is it's just obviously going to help with like personalized workouts and programming.
Yeah. It should be a massive warning signal if that's already how you make your money, or a large part of your offering.
Yes.
That's not a good place now to have like, hey, I can make a lot of money because I write good programs. And I think it can be surprising because you might think, teaching someone how to write a really good program, that would take 3 years. But teaching someone how to like coach a good group class, that would take like a week.
Yeah.
So like this is a skill that will take a long time to replace, but it doesn't work like that.
No.
It's actually one of the fastest ones to replace. And because they can basically already do it better than you, it really is like, it's basically going to be free in a very short period of time. Individualizing programs.
Yeah, because you think about the amount of programs that are being uploaded into all these programming softwares, it's just going to take a consolidation of one of these. Maybe a group of them get together and we go, cool, let's take on $100 million and turn this whole thing into AI. We've got 15 years.
I think, doesn't that main company already have a pretty good app with AI?
Oh, RP.
RP.
They do have some AI.
They have like an AI, like it develops, and like from what I've heard, it's a bit easy because it's powerlifting. But like you upload your numbers and it identifies your weaknesses and writes you a program as good as you can get rid of.
That's the thing, yeah. People don't want to admit that it's here, but it's here.
It's already there.
Yeah, it's here for sure. And it's just going to get better. Like when you can, when it's like analyzing heart rate data, activity levels, body composition, like things they're going to be done instantly. In fact, it's going to be, I could imagine it being rolled out at our gym. Like it's just, you're going to take a bunch of data and just put this person into it. And then as they go along, then it's just going to write the program continuously 100%. For them. And that's just going to save
you'll press on the
time.
Screen, hey, this is where my injury hurts. Cool. Gives you the next exercise.
And that's the AI figuring out what is best and crunching massive amounts of data in ways that no human could ever do. It's not to diminish. It's just like the guy that was like the best, engineer of all time at fixing the horse cart. Like no one knew fixing the horse cart like this guy, like the attachments and the wheel alignment and like fixing the wooden pegs, putting the right screws in. This guy was the best dude at the horse and cart. The car came along, he didn't have a fucking job, but what he did is like maybe he used his understanding of the cart and wheel technology to help build the balance of a car or whatever, or suspension in a car system. Like he just took his expertise and knowledge and applied it differently. And that's, I think, where you need to go with this sort of stuff. It's like, okay, I understand this component of programming. AI doesn't. I'm going to use that somewhere else, right? The second part here now, I think this is definitely where the robots are starting to integrate a little bit more, is the virtual fitness coaching. So the virtual fitness coaching to me right now is like the closest thing you get is the mirror, right? You're standing in the mirror, the coach is in the thing with you, and you're doing a workout together. I use that, is it Oculus Rift? Yeah, with the thing, with the big goggles. I use that on Christmas. One of Ev's, her cousin had it, and we were doing like walk the plank and we're doing boxing. And I got a good workout in. Like I did the boxing and I was sweating bullets by the end of it. Did it feel real? Not really. Did it make you better at boxing? It probably made you worse at boxing, right? But it was still that moment where I'm like, there's part of my brain here that's like, knows it's not real, but it's real enough that I'm getting a workout in.
Yeah.
So you can absolutely, there are limitations right now, but we are blending those two worlds between the, what's real and what's not real. And I could imagine how that would play out on a gym floor in the future is holograms and projections of, maybe you don't even have to wear the Oculus Rift. Maybe you just walk in and the whole thing is just a big digital recreation, but the weights and stuff are there, and you just got these hologram personal trainers walking around, and they're like, hey, cool, nice to meet you today. Like, how can I help you with anything? You can interact with them. They're just a projection, but they're an AI. And they're like, hey, there's something wrong with my booking app. I can't book the system. Oh, let me fix that for you. All right, done. Cool. Oh, plug your phone in here and let me upload your new program. All right, you're all good to go. All right, you've got Jenny. She's waiting over there for you by the weights. And like, maybe there's one human there and it's obvious he's the human. And he's just monitoring everything in case anything goes wrong. But you've got all the projections like, hey, so we've got your bench here for you today. Remember, you've got this exercise from last week. If you just look at my hand here, there's a video of you doing it last week, which we captured, and this is it. And what I want you to work out is this form here, blah, blah, blah. Grab the weights. You started at 12 last week. How you feeling? Like all this stuff. And we're not that far from it. No. I mean, you got the goggles on, you're pretty much there. So yeah, I'm really not going to be that surprised when it rolls out. And that's in the next 20, 30 years, easily. I think. And wouldn't be that hard. Number 3, we've got wearable tech integration. We're already doing stuff like this. Right? Whoop, Apple Watches. I think the limitations of it at the moment is that it does rely on the person using it to apply the technology and the information to their own workouts, to be able to interpret it themselves or like look at the recommendations and then apply it. I think the next level up is where something like a Whoop maybe integrates with some of the other softwares and technologies that you use, and it changes those things for you already. So like maybe, for example, you're wearing the Whoop and it's like looking at your calorie burn and it knows your goals, for example, and it's like, cool, we ordered too many groceries last week, and it changes your grocery order for you. And then next thing you know, you have 600 calories less in your grocery order than what you did last week. And it did it automatically for you without you even knowing. And then it's like, oh, it's just keeping you on track for your weight loss goals.
Yeah, I see the wearable tech, as particularly replacing the accountability that coaches offer. Think about accountability. Old days, like, I'm a great trainer. I like text my clients at 3 p.m., remind them to drink water. But it's going to be much better when the Whoop is just measuring how dehydrated you are, and it just buzzes you on your wrist when it's time to drink water.
Yeah,
that's not far away, obviously, right? You kind of already got that, but it's just not quite where it can be. But like the accountability piece, because it knows everything. It knows how much you slept. It knows how long since you last worked out. It knows what's on the plan. It knows how recovered you are. It knows when you're underfed, dehydrated. So the accountability piece, like, yes, maybe people still do feel more accountable to a person, but the like day-to-day back and forth of accountability, that is getting replaced very quickly.
Yeah, I just think that people in this particular scenario is they just don't allow their imaginations to stretch as long and as far as they can go. Because remember, if you think about the shit that we're doing now, right, with the internet and our iPhones, if you said that to someone 100 years ago, they would there's just no way in hell they would believe that anything like that is possible. So even as you start to imagine things right now, they're not even close to the things that are actually going to happen because of the mere fact that you can imagine them. If you can imagine them, they're definitely going to happen. I'm telling you right now, the stuff that is actually going to happen, you can't even imagine. Like, I could see your entire fridge, kitchen, whole setup, wearable data on the wrist, input goal, what you want to achieve, the entire meal, like all the water is dispensed for you in like a bottle that's put in with the perfect electrolytes based off the imbalance that we see in your blood work, and all the meals are automatically like air fryers. They fucking basically cook for you. How hard is it going to be to just like, the thing's just going to go, all right, we'll load all your raw ingredients in and we're just going to like meal prep. You got this giant air fryer and just meal preps everything for you. It's all done. And it's like, all right, you can go out and you can eat a limited amount of food. You go out and it scans the plate and it's like, cool, you can eat 80% of this. Just eat 80%, leave 20% of it. You'll stay on track for your goals, right? So there's just, once the tech is in us, like they're just going to find more things in our external environment to link up with that tech. Now it could, yeah, it's like how it's going to cool your bedroom for you. It's just going to turn your AC on for you. It's like, you've been struggling and sleeping at night. It's because we've decided your temperature's too hot at this time. We're going to cool the room at this time. Links up with your bed. I don't know. All that sort of shit, right?
It's I think if you want to be a coach and hold clients accountable to that type of stuff now, you do have to really become a bit of an expert in the wearable tech.
Yeah.
Because that is the whole leverage you have now, which is like, hey, you get in there and like you don't like ask them how many steps they did. You like track their steps in the app, right? You don't like ask them what they did this. You track it in the thing. So, obviously it's just going to take away more. Basically, it's going to remove less and less of what you have to do. But along the journey, I'll imagine for the next 10 years, you need to become and remain an expert in the most up-to-date wearable technology and how to basically get your clients on that.
I'll tell you what I hate the most. I hate the most is like, I'm not a tech guy and I'm not a data guy. I'm like, you're missing the point here. It's not about whether you're a tech or a data guy. Tech and data is the future. Like, you have to get on board with it. You're going to get left behind.
It's just like, okay, cool. If you're not a tech guy, it's like, we're going to start at a lower point. But I know you're a tech guy because you can use the key in the front door.
Yeah.
So it's just where we're going to start with the tech.
So don't shy away from the wearable tech. So number 4 here is, I guess it's kind of blended with the wearable tech point, but it's obviously the increased accountability. Accountability is just going to be more accessible and affordable. It's the same way that your Apple Watch buzzes you. It's like, all right, take a moment to relax and take a breath. Like, it's going to have that, but on a level that's, you're going to have more buy-in for whatever reason. It's going to build some more context into it. You're going to have more buy-in. So it might be like, you need to go for a walk today because your blood sugar levels are up by 12% higher than usual, and your increased risk for stroke based off your family history is a motivating reason to get outside and go for a walk. Or your vitamin D levels are low, go get 20% sun exposure for 20 minutes now. The weather system is showing this. This is your only chance today. You need more vitamin D. Something like that. So it's going to have those messages, that accountability that's kind of linked in there again with the wearable tech, which I think is going to help a lot. And I think it also will recognize, like, there's obviously going to be a learning stage and pattern recognition stage as well, where it's going to speak to you in a way that is going to hold you accountable. Whereas right now you get a generic notification, right? Like, go for a walk. What it's going to start to do is, hey, look, I know you've had a busy day today. I know things are really tough right now. And we've talked about this before, but you need to get your fucking ass out there. You told me to be strict with you. Get your fucking ass off the couch and go for a damn walk. Like, I see your blood sugar levels are way too high. You need to go for a walk now. Get your fat, lazy ass off the couch. Go, 20 minutes, let's go. And it might even, I don't know, just interrupt your programming in your AirPods and just start yelling it to you or something. Or it might come over your speaker system and goes, I'm not turning the TV on until you go for a walk. You're like, fuck, all right, go down. And you go for a walk. Like, that's the level of intellect it's going to start building towards. Especially if you turn on that level of like accountability. Probably ramp up the accountability level, right? To like military sergeant to like, I don't know, no accountability at all. So I think it'll help. Now then the 5th point here is it's improved safety. Definitely worth mentioning. So obviously it takes a long time, I feel, to become a fitness professional that is really good at preventing injury. But AI is going to skip that whole learning process. Like, I look at, there's like a physio exercise rehabilitation clinic just near my place, my building. And I always walk in there and they hire just like really young, like first time interns. I don't think there's a single practitioner in there over 30.
They need those margins, dude.
Yeah. They're young. They're young, right? They're really young. And I see them like, playing around with necks and like arms and stuff and
fake ones. Yeah.
No.
Oh, real
clients. Yeah. Like, they're kind of like trying manipulations, but I can kind of tell on the look of their face, like, they don't know what they're doing, right? They're kind of just learning this on the job.
It's like their third manipulation.
Yeah. They're like, I fucking hope I don't kill this person. And you think that whole process is probably going to be skipped by AI. The AI, it's just going to learn injury risk and safety protocols and tissues and all this sort of stuff so well that it will not only write the programs, but it will literally have the joint angles and the exercises and the movements and the execution of the movements dialed in perfectly, that people would just like, the injury risk would just go down heaps.
Well, I'll tell you like a small example of this, which is often when you're a trainer, you'll know, which is like one of the first things you correct with clients, you see you've done badly, is tempo. Yeah. When you walk in, dude, you're like rushing this, right? Let's like slow it down, do it properly. And I think I told you once, but I was using this hamstring curl in a gym, and you couldn't set the tempo, but it would basically be kind of like a snake game where you had to keep the ball between the lines.
Yeah.
As in like it would, so it was a lying hamstring curl, and you had to like.
I've used on,
Yeah, so you have to keep the ball between the lines. So you have to basically keep a sort of like 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up type tempo to keep the ball between the lines. And it's very effective because I'd be like, I know how to do this. But then I'd get 8 reps in, 9 reps in. I'm like, I realize now I am starting to rush it because I'm getting fatigued. Right? So, and like it's at a level of accountability a trainer cannot do. No. A trainer can just say, okay, you're speeding up a little bit. But this is like, I can see just the millisecond I start to speed up, it gets me. And it's like a little red light. So Like that is already there. So I'll imagine even in Globo gyms where, we all say like, hey, I wish more people could afford trainers because basically everybody here needs one. Hopefully that basic form correction will be then taken by mostly machines.
Yeah.
And machines will start to become much better than free weights in a lot of ways if it can achieve that stuff.
Yeah. You just don't know yet until we see it, right? And then once we start seeing, we're like, oh, that's obviously better. Yeah.
When it's doing bar path, speed, everything like that, it could easily stop you going too low. Like all those things are going to be useful.
Well, I've seen some of this early one. It's like a leg press machine and it's in the biohacking community. I mean, it could very easily trickle out into the mainstream.
I mean, biohackers are notoriously weak and have no muscles, but
I think that's why they're trying to hack this thing. But it's like a leg press, and basically it's like you do 6 reps, and it's the equivalent, like the way it applies force, because it applies force concentrically and eccentrically, and you see people get on it. That was the most excruciating 6 reps I've ever done, and it creates the amount of stimulus, signaling, and muscle damage as like 2 leg workouts in a week from 6 reps. Right now, there's obviously a lot of other,
and the reason is because it gives you more pressure on the eccentric because you can do more. Right, if I'm squatting 100, I can obviously go down with 180.
Yeah.
And I could come up with 100. But it can give you, like at the top of the squat, I could probably do 200. But the bottom, I can only do 100. But it can give you the max that you can tolerate throughout every single centimeter of the lift.
Yeah. It just basically takes the most optimal workout that you could possibly do, which no one can actually do and execute because there's too many factors involved. And it places you and your muscles and tendons in a position and it just
it's a little bit like when the trainer does forced reps with you.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know how you feel after it, but people get off it and they're like, that was incredible. Whether we'll adopt something like that, I don't know. But the point is there are people already thinking that way and creating machines that way. People want to be time efficient. If I can just do 6 reps and it's the equivalent to doing, not everyone, I mean, you're listening to this and you probably really like the gym. Not everyone loves the gym, right? They want to get in and out as quickly as possible. Most people, if they can just do 6 reps and that's done for the week, they're going to go for the 6 reps, right? You like, no, I like the smell of rubber and I like the hardcore weights and chatting to my mates in the gym. Like, most people don't. Most people don't like the gym. So that kind of stuff, there's definitely a need for it. So anyway, so that's going to be the biggest impact on the industry. Obviously, like I think that we'll get to projections and like augmented reality before we get to actual physical robots if we ever need them. But I think what's left to talk about is where will our human, like what are humans here for at this point? If we're saying, I mean, people are saying, well, they've done everything for us, so like we don't have a job anymore. It's not true. I think that there are some things that it'll be very hard for AI to replace.
And I think it's just the point is like, even if it will replace it eventually, it doesn't mean you have a good period of time to run without this,
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you're a business owner, you're like, well, like obviously pretty soon they'll be able to create a much better business plan than you can as a business owner, right? That will come. It'll be able to pull all the data. It'll be like, here's the $20 million business plan, right? Just run with this. Here's the sales script. Here's everything. But it doesn't mean that in the meantime, you're still going to be able to benefit if you can go towards the things that's going to replace last.
Yeah, 100%. Like we can't all skip ahead in time right now, right? No. We just got to play the cards we've got right now.
But what you can do is not be an expert in programming, in writing programs. Yeah. That's the first thing, or like writing articles. But that's already gone.
That's gone.
That's gone.
That's gone.
So if you're still writing articles, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's completely gone. So the things that I think are important is, number one has got to be the human connection in counseling, right? To sit down face to face with another human being and counsel them and create that human connection. And that can serve many purposes, right? It doesn't have to just serve the purpose of increased, accountability to like drink water or whatever. It can just be the counseling of like, where are you at in your life? What do your goals want to be? How can I help you? I know you're struggling at home. I know your health's like this. I know you have fears and doubts about the future on these things. Here's how I can help you. So like understanding people better, having more counseling skills, I think will be good because people will still fail at these things. With all the technology and all the virtual fitness coaching, at the end of the day, they're still going to have to do the reps and the sets, and they're going to have to apply and eat the foods and stuff, and they're still going to fall over at that point. Even as close as you get to the line as optimal and as efficient you make it, people still fail at these things, right?
So I would include basically sales into that counseling piece.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, it will come, but it'll be one of the last things when someone's like, I don't know if I even want to do this. And you take them from that to like, I'm committed, I want to do it.
100%.
That will come, but it's going to be later.
And it's just, I think there'll always be a part of our brains that won't quite buy into it with a robot.
Yeah. You could already know it's easier to say no to an automated message than a human.
100%.
So like, pay your Vodafone bill. I'm like, whatever. If a guy walked up to my door and goes, hey dude, pay your Vodafone bill.
Yeah.
I think about it a bit more.
Yeah, 100%. Which is like the default zero message, which is like, you have an unpaid invoice.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, fuck you. And then it's like some guy calls you, it's like, dude, my kids.
Yeah.
I can't put them in school anymore. I just want to take them for hot dogs after the baseball game. You're like, fuck, man, I got you. What do I owe you? Plus interest. And then, so there's always that. That's a huge component of it. I think accountability outside of the actual sessions and the fitness related stuff, which is just like, it's the same thing. It's just a call to someone.
Yeah.
How are we doing right now? What's going on? Like, talk to me. It's that counseling psychology piece. I think floor management will be a part of it. So like, I can imagine the presence of one person managing the floor. Like, so say we're in the gym, say we've got like projections, holograms, robots walking around, helping team out. I still think there will need to be, because technology is not perfect, right? So there are still things that go wrong. There'll still need to be one human there when the fucking robot fizzes out a little bit and like can't correct the form properly, or maybe the weights don't get put away properly, or maybe there's an error. There's still going to be someone that's going to be managing the flow of all the technology and making sure that it's working together. I mean, that might seem like a bit of a boring job, but I'm telling you, there will need to be, in the same way that like the guy that sits behind the panel in what, I don't know what that is, the aviation operators or whatever that manage like all of the aviation industry, all the planes flying together. It's all based on an AI algorithm, right? They're all speaking to each other. There's still someone who sits behind the dashboard to make sure that shit doesn't go wrong.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. There's still going to be a hub center that's making sure that all the technology is still working and things aren't going wrong.
I also said, just as a trainer, if you know, like being an expert in how to leverage the technologies is going to be useful.
Yeah.
Because typically the technology comes out and then everyone's like, well, I don't know how to use it. So like Whoop comes out, none of the clients know how to use it.
Yeah.
Right. If you can be an expert in like pulling the data, putting together with other data along the way, every single time something comes out, there's usually a big opportunity. You know, if you're like a ChatGPT expert, it's like really useful right now. Like, oh yeah, I'll do a sales call with you. Like, how do I get the most out of this exciting technology? And that will just keep happening in fitness. Like if you can be like, as soon as the new tech comes out, it's like, dude, I'm an expert in how to make use of this. It's like it's one of the best places to be.
Yeah. Yeah, just having that expert knowledge and knowing what people need and don't need. Oh yeah, you're this and this, what you've told me. Look, I don't recommend the Whoop, but what I'd actually recommend is the Apple heart rate strap instead, because this is better, because you don't need that. That does more of this. This is that. You know?
And let's use an API, pull the data out with that, and combine it with the other data you've got from somewhere over here, and like it's gonna be perfect.
Yeah. And so that, I think, is an essential piece. And the last piece is definitely what I've just called community leadership and creation, right? Which is, a lot of us go to the gym for community. We go for connection with other people. Robots aren't going to be the ones to lead that community, right? It's going to be a person. It's going to be a group of people to create social events, to create stuff outside of the train, just to help people interact with each other. Because it's going to be a fucking lonely experience if you get to the gym every day and you're just guided by projections and holograms and like one guy managing on the floor in his little like office up the top in his glass box, just making sure everything's working. You're going to want to interact with people. And if like there isn't that community element, if there isn't that like leadership, there isn't that reason to stay longer than just beyond the results, because you'll get results much faster with AI. You got to have, but then how do you sustain your habit? A lot of it comes from community, and that humans will only be the ones that be able to foster that. So could be wrong about all this stuff, right? Could be right, could be wrong about a lot of it, but that's where we see it going at the moment. To give you guys an idea, according to a report by Research and Markets, which is a research company, the global fitness app market is expected to reach 14.2 billion by 2023 and is estimated to have 526 million users worldwide. So obviously it is growing. And then another report by the International Data Corporation found that global wearable fitness device market is expected to grow by 20% between 2020 and 2023, which is pretty much already happened. It might have eclipsed that, with an estimated 380 million units being shipped worldwide. So if those numbers don't hit home, I'm telling you, they will eventually, and they'll continue to grow as technology becomes more accessible. So I look forward to it. I hope you guys continue to adapt and look forward to it in a positive way. I think it's only a positive thing. But yeah, you need to take the right steps now. Cool. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't yet, leave a comment down below if you're watching this on video, and then also subscribe and share it with a friend.